Welcome to Vintage Gaming Memories. Shall we play a game?
Yeah, that's a good sign. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for taking time to check this video out. So here is another package that I let sit way too long without opening it up. This was an eBay purchase that I received back on November 5th, 2024. So that's a little bit over 3 months ago. And as you can see with all the stickers on here, it's fragile, do not crush, caution, heavy. What else? Please handle with care, thank you. And that's just on 2 sides. Again, fragile. And there's even more. Seller took a lot of time to make sure this was well preserved in shipment as far as the handling goes. And it, it came handled with delicate delivery, I guess, because the box looks pretty good. I just hope what's in there is what I ordered. Again, I keep doing these things. I don't know why, I just don't get to them. But trying to make a better effort of getting through these boxes and opening up what I've ordered and then putting it out for you guys to see. And hopefully it's something of interest. Maybe you want to buy one, or maybe you get a memory from the past from some of these items and say, wow, I remember that. So let's go and open this one up, and maybe you will say, hey, I remember this. First thing we see, floppy disk owner's manual. Put that to the side. SIO cable. Power source / supply. And last but not least, Trak AT-D2 Disk Drive. This has to be by far the best packing job I've seen on anything I've received in the last 3 years, I think. Great labeling them, packaging it. I just feel bad I didn't open it quick enough to give praise to that person. Awesome job. So let's open these up and check out everything that came with it. So, floppy disk owner manual. And inside, again, floppy disk owner's manual. And let's see what we have in here. There it is. There is the user's guide for the Trak AT series. And this is going to be the double density one, because there's a single one and a double density. This is the D2. Manual looks to be in good condition. Here's the floppy that came with it. Can never have too many SIO cables, right? Even wrapped up inside of the package. Here's the SIO cable. This is the power supply. Look at that, even extra packing. There it is, the original power supply for this drive. And here it is. This is the drive. Top. The face, the front. Thank you inside. This looks to be exactly like the picture on the listing. We're gonna fully test this out. At the bottom, I remember seeing the footings were all there, which is awesome. Even the label there with the serial number. So just a few things in the back here I should probably call out besides the typical daisy chaining of other devices, as well as the dip switches that are typical on these drives, is this part here, which is a printer interface. Which is cool about this is that back in the day, if you just had the Atari A-10 disk drive and you had a printer, you needed to get the Atari A-50 interface in order to chain them all together. Here you don't need that. You can just have the computer to the drive, and then the drive can go right to the printer. So that's pretty cool. Also, there's a buffer built in here as well. So there's I think it's 4K printer buffer. So that's another feature. There's also some other cool features on here like the automatic diagnostics, which is controlled by the dip switch for number 4 to turn it on and off. And that'll actually put an output to your printer or your screen if you wanted to see that. There's also a shutdown time feature on here, so it doesn't continue to run and give wear and tear on the drive. I think that feature is set to half the time, I believe I read, 4 seconds versus 8 seconds on normal drives. And that's after it actually runs, so it doesn't have to continue to run after data has been accessed. So that's just some cool features worth noting and to point out on this drive compared to the typical 1050 or A10 drive back in the day. Yeah, it's very clean for sure, but we're going to still clean it up a little bit. And I'll definitely open it up, only 4 screws to the bottom to slide this thing out. We'll check to see what's going on inside before we power this up. Alright, I did my typical cleanup. Didn't use too much Novus 1 because this is not plastic. This is metal. But this is plastic, so I did do that. Clean that up. Clean also the power supply as well as the cord. Very clean. Now we gotta just check the insides. Let's take the 4 screws out from the back and see what we got. One thing I can tell you though, for the year of this, assuming that all this came together, on the power supply there was a date of November 1983, so it's about that time. This Trak AT-D2, I always like to say R2D2, it is for the Atari 8-bit computer. If you watch my other Atari related videos on the channel, you might have picked up that I've been trying to get most of the various types of Atari 5¼ drives that were made available in the 1980s. Now here's a quick rundown on the ones I currently have. I have a couple Atari 810s, a few Atari 1050s, an Atari XF551, a few Indus GTs, Arana Systems 1000, a couple Percom drives, and now this Trak AT-D2 drive. I know there's like others out there like the Astra drives, but I'm taking this one day at a time. I probably should explain why would I want to collect these drives. Doesn't really make sense because I'm not going to be using these, right? But here's where my obsession came. So I have to blame it on rereading those antique and analog magazines for this channel. There was a video, I had to do some research by going through those magazines that I have. So I saw some of the ads of those drives that I mentioned in many of the issues, and that brought back memories of me being a 12 or 13-year-old and not being able to afford one with my $10 a week earnings for cutting lawns. So to give you an idea of how much I needed, well, here's an advertisement for this Trak drive back in September of 1983. This is for an AT-D2, which is the double density drive that I have here, and this was going for $379. Or if we adjust it for inflation at about a little bit over 3%, it would be like paying around $1,100 to $1,200 in today's money. So that's a lot of lawns to mow. Alright, this should slide off easily. Just a little bit more. There we go. Getting back to this drive here, what I'm going to do is power this on with the cover off so we can see everything and how it's moving around. I do want to clean the head, but I want to just examine mostly to see if any of the capacitors have exploded, if there's anything that's leaking on here, is there any cause for concern, which I doubt there would be, but you never know. We're just going to examine this first on a high level by the outsides. I'm not going to open up anything more. But nothing really strikes me as concerning yet. we'll hear how it sounds when it powers up. So we're going to power it up, not connect it to the computer. Just power it up to see what indicator lights we get and see if it shows the track number as it should. And we'll put a floppy in there to see if it just stops after it does the initial read. And then we're going to turn it off and then connect it to the 800XL, see if it boots up. All right, I think we're ready to go. Everything's plugged in, and I just need to turn this on. But let me adjust the camera so you get a front view of this to see how it looks. Okay, this is a pretty good view of the drive. You have the front view straight on, and the cover is still removed, so I do have access to the internals in case something were to happen. Fingers crossed, nothing will. But I do want to point out one thing that I noticed as I was prepping this, and that is where it says track and the rest of the indicators on this label. Well, this was coming up on the corner here pretty badly. It was kind of just hanging there. And yeah, I could press down on it, but this is a touchpad, which means if I just put my finger over it, it will actually toggle something on and off, whether it be the write protect, which I think that's one of the toggles, and the track part here is the power on and off. So I don't want to put my finger on it yet, but it's very similar to the RANA drive that I have. So it's very delicate. There are connections underneath there that you don't want to break or damage. So I'm not going to just glue it aimlessly. I will be careful of that. And I think that's about it. So let's power this on. And remember, it's not connected to the Atari 800XL, so the SIO cable is not plugged in. We're just going to see how it handles with the power coming in first, and hopefully it will power up. That looks good. Okay, that was interesting. So the busy light went on for a mere second or two. The track count did not even move. Typically with like the Indus drive or the RANA drive, which has a counter, it usually goes up to like 39 and it just runs a little bit longer than that. But I don't know, we'll continue on with this. Let's put a floppy in there that's bootable. And then I will connect the SIO cable and turn the computer on, and let's just see if it can read from that diskette. All right, here we go. All right, sounds good. Just wish that track counter would be moving. It still says 00. All right, look at that. It read the diskette pretty well. We got to the splash screen for solo flight. I could definitely say it's working condition. That's not a lie. All right, well, it booted up to where it should be right now. We're waiting for the demo to kick in. But again, this track count is not working. The busy light works. I don't think the write protect works. The read write lights don't work either. This could be one of a couple things. It could be the actual light bulb behind there, because there are individual bulbs there. It could be burnt out. But that wouldn't explain why this isn't working. I do know that this board that's kind of pushed in the back of this is just for the indicator that you see here. It's plugged into the actual main board and can be removed, which is kind of a good thing and bad thing. Good thing is that I actually have another track drive coming in, and I'm not hoarding these things at all. It was a parts only track drive, and I wanted it just in case I needed to do some work on this one, which happens to be that I do need to do something. So what I'm going to do, which won't be on this video because it hasn't arrived yet, is I'll probably just swap out this board that's behind here and see if that fixes it, because that would be the quickest test, I guess, to see. Hopefully that's all it is. But for now, I guess I can call it a success as far as it working. It's 95% working. The 5% not working is a luxury, because if you recall, if you had a 1050 or even the 810 drive, you didn't get all these indicators. All you get was a power on and a busy light. That's it. These are all just extras, but I do want it to work because I did pay for a fully working drive. Feel free to comment below to let me know of any suggestions you might have in the meantime. But until next time, keep that gaming passion from the past alive by living it today. Take care, everyone.